Hello, Dr. Fady. Welcome to Valeo's podcast.
Hi, Nadine. Good to be here. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you. And today is, we were talking previously, it's Valeo's third year anniversary.
A very
I
special
can't believe
day.
so. It's a special episode.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Fady, I'm so excited to have you here. I have so many questions, especially with your background, being specialized in endocrinology and genetics. There's a whole world that you know about, and we would love our listeners to learn about it. So we want to start with the basics. What is longevity to you? I know right now, you are specialized more in longevity and creating longevity programs. So maybe if we start from the basics, what is longevity to you? What's the definition of it?
Absolutely. I think it's important to define a few terms. The first term is lifespan, which are the years that we live on Earth and breathe oxygen from birth to death.
Yes.
The second term is life expectancy, which is a statistical number saying when you'll die based on a cohort or a population.
Interesting.
The third term is health span, which are the years lived in good health without disability or chronic disease. And then the last term is longevity, which is the pursuit to living longer.
A longer health span, yeah.
A longer health span.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think it's important for the consumer to know, and of course our audience, that the goal is not to live a longer life. The goal is to live a good, healthy, happy life. Because what if you live a long life with disability or chronic disease? Yeah. That's something that I don't think anyone wants.
Yeah.
So I think the terminology that fits this field of longevity better is health span. What can I do to mitigate the risk of getting chronic disease and disability, especially in the last 20 years of my life? And anyone can start now.
I think what we're learning more and more is how the last 20 years of our life is. Actually, we need to start from today doing changes because it will be too late 20 years down the line, I guess, in the last 20 years.
Well said. So think about us as a ticking bomb.
Yeah. Oh,
we're all gonna die, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
We're gonna die from something.
A lot of people see a lot of therapy for that.
Yes, but and absolutely. So if you look at recent statistics, 75% of Americans fear of what's coming in the future. And so there's this trend that, hey, I want to be healthy today. I want to equip my body with the right tools so I can live a healthy and long life away from chronic diseases, including cancer, heart disease, disability, and so on.
And you said the word tools. So has longevity in the recent years become popular because the tools have become stronger? And what are, in your opinion, these tools?
The only tool that has been shown to prolong someone's healthy years is exercise.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Movement.
And so all the mythical tools that we have today are a product of genius marketing. They haven't been rigorously studied to show that they can extend someone's lifespan with certainty. Well, the many claims of supplements and other wellness products in the market. And I would caution everybody from, really analyzing the data and being very careful at translating non-human data to human data. And what do I mean by that? Most of the studies on longevity that we have today are done on animals, including rats and let's call them lab animals.
Yeah.
Lab animals are not humans.
Yeah.
And so if there's a supplement or a drug that has been shown to prolong life in a lab animal, that does not mean that it will prolong life in humans. That does not mean that we should, expose ourselves to these non-scientific products to achieve a healthy, happy life.
Interesting.
The most cost-effective way of living, with a healthy, happy years is to exercise, build muscle, and be fit.
Okay.
And you can start at any time. There's actually such important evidence to show that after the age of 50, we develop this very important physiologic concept called anabolic resistance, in that our muscles develop, this resistance against growing and becoming healthier. So it would take us double.
Is that aging?
It's part of the physiologic process that we all go through that you may call aging, may be compounded by disease such as diabetes and high blood pressure.
Yeah.
That adds more stress to
Yeah.
our muscular system. What that translates to is an inability to build healthy muscles at the same rate as we can when we're younger than 50. So it's much important to begin building muscle sooner than later
Okay.
because you would require double or triple the effort to do that.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that at 50 you should stop because you're gonna reverse. Actually, you should be doing more. Or, I mean, what type of exercise would you recommend for somebody who is in their 50s?
Absolutely.
Especially, I feel in our culture, you know, if you look at our parents or grandparents, there's this concept of like, okay, I am older now and I can't move as much.
Well, we know that after 50, there is a decline in muscle, and the decline is progressive over many years.
Okay.
And so we need to mitigate that. And what's also important to know is that if we are on an exercise routine and we stop because of illness or injury, you know, a life event, and it could be depression, that may take you away from your regular routine of exercising, you will get more muscle loss during that time, which will be harder to recuperate.
Yeah.
So consistency is key. Consistency at a younger age onto our remaining lifespan is important. So what do we do? The simplest thing is brisk walking. So moderate activity, at least 150 minutes a week.
Okay.
Cycling, swimming, jogging, being on a treadmill, you know, anything that will provide you this, you know, important concept of, say, zone 2 training, which is increase your heart rate, your maximum heart rate, sweat, you know, reach a point on the treadmill or the bicycle where when you're talking to someone, you know, you need to sort of get extra breaths of air because you're.
So it's not like super intensive, but it's not like a strolling.
Absolutely.
The middle, that's the zone 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could look them up. It's, you know, there are different zones pertaining to, you know, your maximum heart rate.
Yeah.
Every zone has its features and benefits.
Yeah.
So that this type of exercise is so crucial. And then training to attain, you know, a zone 2 or a zone 3 related end goal based on your age and your fitness capabilities should be prioritized as the most important.
So it's not complicated.
Yes.
Go outside, walk a bit. I mean, not right now in Dubai. Go to a treadmill, walk a bit.
Yes.
And it's cost effective, as you said. It's not, you know, a very expensive type of products that you need to buy. It's really move your body. That is the number one priority.
Yes, movement is medicine.
Okay.
Such as food is medicine, movement is medicine is equally important. It's evidence-based.
Yes.
So yes, be fit.
Yes.
And the most important objective marker to trace as a longevity objective marker that we have in clinics and fitness centers today is the VO2 Max.
Yes.
Testing.
If we can a bit define VO2 Max, what does it mean and how can people test it?
Of course, VO2 Max is the maximum amount of oxygen that you consume during fitness. It's an important marker that sort of tells you how healthy you are and how well your heart, lungs, circulatory system, and muscles are connecting with one another. It's a test that is done through gas exchange using a treadmill device. It's a protocol that lasts anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, and you get a number. That number will tell you based on a scale that factors in your age and your weight and other parameters how fit you are, and you can track.
And do you
this
get
age.
like a score out of
Exactly.
10 or out of
Yeah, so you get a score out of 100. I'll give you an example. Soccer players have a minimal score of 58.
Oh wow.
Most of the clients I see in our longevity clinic here, Lifespan Clinic in Dubai, have a score between 30 to 45.
And 30 to 45 is standard.
I would say it's not ideal, especially if you want to optimize your fitness and longevity goals. And think about it in that for every 1% increase in your VO2 max, you gain, say, 35 days of life.
Oh, wow.
And so your goal should be to
That's
understand
amazing.
what your VO2 baseline VO2 max is, and
Yeah.
then use these various exercise tools such as high intensity exercise,
Yeah.
cardio, cycling, zone 2 exercises, and so on to attain a higher VO2. Exercise alone can consistent exercise alone can increase your lifespan by about 4 to 5 years.
Oh, wow.
It could lower your all-cause mortality, lower your risk for depression, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. So I think it's important to prioritize it,
Yes.
but also more importantly, to track it using these objective
Yes.
biomarkers.
If, let's say somebody has a 35 VO2 max
Right.
and they want to get into 40.
Yes.
How long does it take? What do they need to do? Is it easy to up it up? And is it easy to go down?
Yes, it's one of those
Okay.
markers that can be very responsive to behavioral and lifestyle changes. So you can get your VO2 max from 45 to your goal of, say, 50 in a couple of months of consistent training,
Okay.
focusing on VO2 max related exercises.
Which are?
So high intensity,
Okay.
let's say cycling, biking, swimming, zone 2, and so on.
Okay.
This concept of precision fitness,
Okay.
it's to sort of tailor your fitness towards objective markers, not only your body mass index and like your sleep and so on, but truly consider using VO2 max as your objective measure. And fortunately today, a lot of the wearables that we have
Yes.
offer a calculated version
Okay.
of VO2 max.
How accurate is it?
It corroborates with the gold standard VO2 max machines that clinics and some fitness centers today have. But I would say calibrate my Apple's VO2 max every 3 to 6 months with the gold standard.
Yeah. But at least it
machine.
gives you a bit of a trend, I would say.
Absolutely,
Okay.
an important trend to track. The second most important objective biomarker that we use and that I highly recommend as well, in this sort of field of precision fitness to attain longevity, is muscle mass testing, understanding your muscle strength, your endurance, and you can do that with hand grip testing. Or an isokinetic dynamometer testing,
Okay.
which is a device that measures your strength against a force.
Okay.
That is also available at sports performance clinics, including our Lifespan clinic in Dubai. So I would use these important subjective biomarkers to sort of guide me in my journey to longevity.
It gives you basically, I would say, the first baseline to where you are in terms of VO2. I would imagine that anything from nutrition to movement to even some type of supplements affect your VO2 max and affect your muscle mass, or is it correlated?
Right. So I'll give you an example of an important risk factor that most of people, especially in the GCC, have, which is elevated, fat mass or body mass index.
Yes.
Body mass index or an elevated body mass index can certainly impact VO2 max and measurement of VO2 max during testing.
Yes, exactly.
It can definitely bring down your score
Yeah.
lower. So one of the most important things to mitigate cardiovascular disease, improve VO2 max, and of course enhance someone's health span and potential longevity is to address fat excess.
Yes.
Or the obesity pandemic that we have.
Which statistically,
Right.
if we look at the stats in the GCC, I mean, we have almost 40 to 45% levels of obesity, even,
Yes.
especially in younger generations.
Yes.
I mean, US has the same stats, but if we focus to here, and it comes from how much our food change, how much our, let's say, daily activity change. If we think about our ancestors or grandmothers, grandfathers, they went out, they fixed the garden, they walked to the supermarket, to their grocery store. And with us now, we go to work, we're sitting from 9 to 6, eating, mostly processed food if we don't take care. And this has led to this, I would say, epidemic of obesity, high cholesterol. I mean, we even see it in Valeo. I mean, almost 80% of our users have borderline high cholesterol, which is, I would say a red flag. It takes me to my next subject that I was curious to know about, the new medicine, the new GLP-1, which is the Ozempics, Mounjaros, Wegovy's. There's a huge debate around it. I think it could be because we've always thought that, okay, if you want to lose fat, you just need to eat less and exercise. It was never seen as a medical problem or take this medicine to lose fat. I wanted to get your opinion as somebody who is, endocrinologist and into longevity. What is your opinion about this new phenomena?
Yeah, so I think we're at an inflection point in human history.
Yeah.
We finally have a class of drugs that could significantly lower cardiometabolic risk factors and quite effectively. So these drugs are peptides. They were found in the saliva of a reptile.
Oh, wow.
And
Maybe we can define peptide for our listeners?
Absolutely. Think about them as proteins that are produced in the body and serve a particular physiologic signal, whether it is for releasing insulin or, releasing other hormones or
So it's our like
products.
communication, sending messages.
Absolutely. So our bodies are filled with peptides,
Yeah.
including GLPs. So GLP-1s are naturally occurring peptides in our gut. They serve an important endocrine function. And they were found in the saliva of this reptile, extracted, produced, and reproduced, and now commercialized
Wow.
into the GLP-1 receptor agonists and GLP receptor agonists with GIPs, which is the tirzepatide or Mounjaro. The GLP-1 receptor agonists alone are the likes of the Ozempics and the Saxendas.
You said it was found in a reptile. What does it mean? Just out of curiosity.
Of course. So across evolution,
Yeah.
mammals had to develop mechanisms to fight, long-term fasting,
Okay.
digestion of certain products from our environment. So this particular reptile would fast for a long time in the desert because likely as an evolutionary trait of not finding water for a long time. So these peptides serve to decrease appetite for a very long period of time. And they do it
wow.
through different mechanisms. They do it by telling the stomach that you're full and you don't need to eat anymore. They do it by sending signals to the brain through different communication channels because they don't typically cross the blood-brain barrier, but they do it through very intricate pathways to tell the brain that you're full, you don't need to eat, amongst other physiologic connections that they have in the body, including insulin release. So when we take it in extra physiologic levels, which is what we give to clients for Mounjaro or Ozempic therapy, we're telling the brain and the stomach and the entire gut system to be paralyzed, to not to eat. And that's why one of the side effects is potentially paralysis of the stomach, the esophagus, the colon. It slows down the movement of the GI tract, and so you get reflux as one of the symptoms. In very rare instances, you may get prolonged paralysis or gastroparesis.
But does it make like your metabolism slower? Or
it tells
because
your body...
it's always about like, you need to speed up your metabolism and that's how you will lose weight.
It slows you down. It slows your gut. It tells your brain not to eat. You go through periods of fasting. So you start to break proteins from your muscle because your body wants to source other energy sources, and that's why you can get lean muscle loss. So about 20% of weight loss is from lean muscle loss, which is a red flag. And today it can be mitigated with resistance training, protein intake, and there are a lot of different companies working on drugs that could potentially be given to GLP-1 receptor agonists to preserve muscle mass loss. There are other side effects because they primarily work on sort of slowing down the gastrointestinal tract. You may get constipation, nausea, vomiting.
Is there like I feel like it's a phenomena that it's there to be, and it's not like where you can say, okay, GLP-1 people should not use it or use it. People know it's there and are using it.
Yes, and they're using it in very high numbers. And we've had these drugs for over 20 years, and there's good safety data on their use.
How come there was a switch? Because now they were approved for weight loss.
Recently approved, a couple of years ago, approved by the FDA for weight loss, and we've seen other regulators approving it as well for weight loss. But they've existed for type 2 diabetes management primarily for over a decade. The first products were, if you may recall, Victoza, and other generations of GLP-1 receptor agonist. And it was during the diabetes trials that they saw that it was leading to suppressed appetite, weight loss. And so they sort of re-engineered these products to create newer, better versions of GLP-1 receptor agonists.
With less side effects?
The side effect profile is likely slightly better today, but we still see GI side effects in about 50% of users. Most of these side effects are transient.
Transient means it will pass.
It will pass likely after a couple of weeks of use when the body develops some sort of say resistance against these drugs. There were other concerns that I think by now can be refuted, including risk of thyroid cancer. Now, there's a black box warning by the FDA on risk of medullary thyroid cancers in lab animals. This is a type of a genetic form of thyroid cancer that runs in family. It has an autosomal dominant inheritance trait. We have not seen increased incidence of thyroid cancer in users of this of these compounds. And so I would only avoid giving it in individuals with a family history of this very clear genetic form of thyroid disease called medullary thyroid cancer. So I know there's a lot of concern about cancer risk in these medicines. So I just want to reassure the audience that till this day, the contraindication of using, the likes of Mounjaro is for this particular type of thyroid cancer. There's been meta-analyses, so good studies published showing that they don't increase the risk for pancreatitis. They may increase the risk of gallbladder disease because it slows down the gallbladder, as is true for other GI organs. And in someone with a pre-existing sludge or gallstone, they may likely have higher risk of gallstone disease. Generally speaking, I'm particularly excited about these drugs. I have no conflicts of interest with these companies, but seeing my patients respond dramatically to these drugs with weight loss, improvement in their blood pressure, improvement in their cholesterol, improvement in their mood and their overall appearance and well-being, it gives me joy and gives me, a hope that this drug will likely become probably the most important longevity drug in our lifetime.
I agree. I have friends, clients who are on it. I've seen people who've been on this yo-yo diet since we were kids, trying different type of diets. And then this medicine, how one of my friends described it was that it just makes my mind clearer to do a healthy diet. Because at the end of the day, you are not craving sugar. You are not craving, or you're not just eating, or even if you're not hungry. You eat when you're hungry and you're not very hungry.
Right.
That's one of the things. But the most important one, as you said, is making sure that you don't lose muscle mass or keep on doing strength training. I think that is key.
Yes.
If you eat the right nutrients.
Right.
If the time that you feel hungry, it shouldn't be a chocolate bar, but it should be actually a dense nutrient food that actually feeds you.
Yes.
And I would say third, I wanted to ask maybe also some supplements that need to take depending on what is missing from your body in those times.
So I typically, prescribe the likes of tirzepatide, Mounjaro, to optimize my clients from a fat perspective.
There's a very specific criteria, actually. Also, we want to be clear that not anybody should go, if they want to lose 2-3 kilos, go on Mounjaro, Ozempic.
Right.
It has very specific criteria on who's eligible.
Well, there are indications like being, of course, obese, defined as a BMI,
BMI
over 30,
Okay.
BMI of over 27 with risk factors.
Yes.
My general belief is that consumers can do whatever they want, right? Because at the end of the day, we're here to guide.
Yeah.
And if clients and consumers have questions, please feel free to reach out.
As you said, there is it's a choice, basically.
Absolutely.
If somebody chooses to use it, then do it the right way.
Absolutely.
That's what we can say.
I mean, these indications are put in place because of regulations.
Yeah.
And because they were studied for, say, these indications.
Yeah.
But we're seeing a lot of off-label use
Yeah.
of these drugs to get rid of fat in lean individuals, or to sort of even newer indications are for cardiovascular disease. And
I heard
say,
for kidney disease too. It is really like a wonder drug.
it is a wonder drug. I mean, even it lowers risk for Parkinsonism symptoms. It's being studied in Alzheimer's and dementia.
Yeah, very interesting.
So we're seeing this miracle drug, right?
Yeah.
That is really creating a what we call a pleiotropic effect on different parts of the body. And I think it's going to be one of the few longevity solutions that we have today. Of course, the risk for lean muscle mass loss is dangerous.
As you mentioned, right? One of the first things is actually muscle building.
Yes.
When it comes to longevity.
Yes, because what I said earlier is that the last thing you want is losing muscle, whether it's due to a medication like Mounjaro or due to injury or disability.
Or not moving.
Because it will take you a much longer time to recuperate the muscle mass. So what can you do to prevent lean muscle mass loss in users of these GLP-1 receptor agonists or in general? So there's this concept of sarcopenia. So as we age, we start losing muscle and we become more disabled, sadly. I mean, that's our trajectory. So we can mitigate that, as discussed, through improving our VO2 max, resistance, and endurance-related exercises. And we could supplement those with what the muscle needs. Creatine, 3 to 5 grams a day.
Yes.
Protein intake, 1 pound per kilo.
I would always, eating protein is better than taking protein shake, or is there any?
Yes, if you can optimize your natural intake of amino acids and proteins, keeping in mind the 1 pound per kilo sort of general criteria, sure, you could use 50% of that through powders, and it could be a mix of whey and casein. So many different products out there in the market.
Yeah. The ultimate aim of those supplements is to not lose muscle and build muscle.
It's to build muscle, to give muscle the raw ingredients to be able to, not go through muscle loss.
Yes.
Or if you're exercising and you're building muscle, then to give it the raw material it needs.
But there's no way around it. I mean, you still have to exercise. This will help you, but you still have to exercise.
Right. So if I want to devise a longevity health span program for my clients, and that's what I do in our programs, the first thing I look at is their risk factors, right? Get their VO2 max, understand their fat excess, BMI, look at their vitals, blood pressure, and look at their labs, right? Cholesterol and inflammatory markers.
Yeah.
And the first thing I do, knowing that 100% of my clients have poor VO2 max, is to put them on a VO2 max focused exercise program. So high intensity cardio, etc. The next thing is to optimize their fat. So I would, study their diet and likely put them on a short-term GLP-1 receptor agonist use with the ideal protein intake and creatine.
Yes.
To push away one of the most important risk factors for death, which is excess fat.
Yes.
This notion of go exercise and eat healthy and you'll lose weight will not happen.
Interesting. Why?
It's very tough to lose weight from diet and exercise. So I'll give you an example. If you have 1,000 calories per meal, right, with 3 major meals per day, that's 3,000 calories. Name an exercise for the average individual that could shed 1,000 calories per day.
Yeah.
Right? Very tough.
Maybe Ironman. Maybe.
I mean,
but who's gonna do that every day?
Absolutely. It's very tough to lose weight.
There's an expression, right? You can't exercise. You can't, exercise a bad diet. Like you can't. There's no way you can balance that.
Sure. I mean, choose a good diet. So
Yeah.
for me, it's the Mediterranean diet, although there's no
Yes.
perfect diet, right?
Well, with Valeo also, I mean,
Yeah.
we've done so many diet studies. We've done
Yeah.
so many, and then it was like the Mediterranean diet.
Right. So no perfect diet. Choose something that has sort of the colors of the rainbow,
Yes.
filled with vegetables, carrots and blueberries and berries.
And they taste good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For protein, up to you, whether it's plant-based or meat-based. I prefer meat-based. You get higher quality of digestible.
But good quality meat.
Make sure you understand how much you're eating, so
Yeah.
you could supplement it with, say, protein powders, and then exercise, and not just going to the gym and running without a purpose. You have to have an objective measure, which is
Okay.
again the muscle strength and VO2 max
Yeah.
testing and retesting serially to ensure that you're on the right track, with or without fat loss related therapies for a short period of time to get rid of the most important risk factor for chronic disease,
Which is the cholesterol
cancer,
and
cholesterol, cancer, heart disease,
Yeah.
obesity,
Yeah.
diabetes.
Let's say when you had cholesterol, we would give statins,
Right.
which there's a huge debate on statins
Yes.
and their effectiveness and long-term side effects. But right now, it's like the GLP-1 is taking you to the root cause of it, which is fixing the root cause of reducing fat. And then from there, you have that, you gave it a name, actually, a factor that then, your diabetes is better, your cholesterol levels are level.
Pleiotropy.
Yes, I will never be able to pronounce, but that is the word.
Well, sure, absolutely, but statins are very powerful drugs as well, especially in those with.
Yeah, we're not saying here don't take GLP-1, don't take statins, but I wanted to look
Absolutely.
at more into going into the root cause instead of just fixing the symptom.
Absolutely.
Right?
So from a physiologic
Yeah.
level, I would focus on a healthy lung, heart, brain, blood, and muscle. So how can I improve from physiologic level these different organs? I can improve them through, a crosstalk mechanism, and the byproduct of this crosstalk mechanism, as a subjective measure of health span, is VO2 max. So I would do whatever it takes to improve my VO2 max, and that also includes fat loss.
Exactly. Fat loss helps VO2 max.
Yes, exercise helps VO2 max. Fat loss helps VO2 max. Enhancing the muscle through the creatine and muscle powders. It improves the VO2 max. Quitting smoking and hookah improves the VO2 max, right?
Definitely.
These are very important and basic concepts in longevity.
Yeah.
Before jumping to expensive supplements and 150 gigabyte of data upload through these longevity programs, start with the basics.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
And then slowly get rid of other bad habits.
Yeah.
So let's assume there are many other bad habits like poor sleep, not happy with your relationships, and you live in a polluted environment and so on and so forth. Consider addressing those hard to address factors later in your longevity course.
It's basics, it's easy to measure, and it's basically under our control, meaning that it's easy to measure, and if you do these changes, you will improve.
Yes.
Because I feel sometimes, when something, they say a goal has to be smart, specific, measurable, actionable, and realistic.
Right.
So that's you're giving a realistic goal. So it feels like, okay, let me do these changes, and it's realistic. Because sometimes, as you said, life is not easy. It could be like you need a big change in a relationship, or you need there are some core things that are difficult. Changing those will take time. But maybe focusing on this just improvement of VO2 max will bring you more energy, more clarity, that then can make you take the big decision.
Well said. It gives you the foundational block to your health span and longevity journey. And we never begin with a very difficult topic to change or reverse.
Yeah.
Other major topics that we addressed as part of our longevity programs here is, mental health. So brain coaching, mental health, longevity mindset, a purpose, your sense of purpose. When you wake up in the morning, what drives you to want to live to 100 years?
Yeah.
And so all of these factors require micro dissection with specialists. So we work in a multidisciplinary team. We have a clinical psychologist and a mental health coach and a nutritionist.
And they all bring different type of factors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And because the body is complex and the aging complex is complex. And more importantly, adding, this field of longevity is making it even more complex because it's still in its infancy.
Yeah.
But one thing we know is that you want to live longer, be fitter.
Yeah.
Right? And the best way to measure fitness is VO2 max.
Dr. Fady, not only you're specialized in endocrinology and specialized in genetics, you are also an investor, which for me it's very interesting because you have, knowledge in the medical world, in genetics, in longevity, but you're also somebody who looks at companies, who looks at startups, invests in them, and I was very curious to know, now we're going to turn a bit into the business world of things, but I think it's interesting to also see from your eyes, where do you think, health tech or healthcare will be with all these changes happening, with even the customer becoming more knowledgeable and wants to be more in control? Where do you see it in 5 to 10 years span?
It's a very exciting time to be an early stage investor in health tech. So I'm the managing partner of FHS Capital. We have about 20 positions in early stage startups. We've seeded 5 companies, including a company that I lead today called HealthSpan Digital. And our focus as a tech company is to build products and services in this exciting field of precision health and longevity medicine, including AI-powered analytic platforms, longevity programs as turnkey solutions for SMEs that want to repurpose space into a longevity hub.
So AI programs or longevity programs will not be only for the, high end. It's for every gym, for every SME. If they want to, they can implement.
Well said. So our mission is to help scale longevity and health span related services through technology and through repurposing space to make it more participatory for all and to democratize access to these services by lowering cost and allowing for high throughput services.
By doing that long term, you are lowering healthcare costs, which is one of the biggest costs all governments have, right? I mean, that's another debate.
Yeah, which is a very big. It's a very big thing to address. Our mission is to empower the consumer.
Yes.
With data-driven care, so they can make better informed decisions about how they want to live a long, healthy life. This field of consumer wellness is growing at an incredible CAGR.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, I think there's a very exciting opportunity today to invest in companies that are solving these important problems to bring products and services to market that will address this whole consumer wellness vertical.
I won't come 5 years, 10 years down the line and tell you, oh, look, you were wrong. But in your opinion,
yes,
how do you envision, let's say, a person 5 years down the line taking care of themselves?
Yes. Well, we're going to have sensors all over the place.
Yes.
So one of the products we're working on at HealthSpan Digital with real estate developers is to build smart homes, including smart mirror technology that could read your vital signs and tell you how well you are today.
Very nice.
Connects to a dashboard, a client-facing app, connects to a health
So
precision
I would
health.
wake up and then my mirror would tell me I slept well. I mean, my watch already tells me, but I slept well. Your heartbeat is this. We recommend you do this much fitness today.
Of course. Yeah. So it then this mirror becomes...
And then the treadmill comes.
Yes. So this computer vision technology coupled with LLM and cognitive AI layers will then take the data, make sense of it, and talk to you if it finds anything suspicious, like an elevated heart rate in the morning.
Very interesting.
Or an arrhythmia will then trigger a call and response. And then it may trigger an entire health system to look after you from home.
So it's really another level of preventive health.
Yes.
Really finding the clues, the red flags in these small data points that your body gives you.
It's proactive health management at home. So hospital at home, clinic at home. We're seeing the same trends with gyms, clinic at gym.
Yes.
Where today... gyms and wellness centers and even real estate developers want to bring these various solutions together to create a vertically integrated model of consumer wellness and care.
I guess in 5 and 10 years down the line, you won't, when people think of like, oh, I'm going to go to a hospital, I'm going to go to a clinic.
Right.
It's like, oh, are you sick?
Right.
Actually, no.
Yes.
that it's going to change. It doesn't need to be a whole hospital
Right.
you go to, but the day you start taking care of yourself is going to be every day, from a
Yes.
health and from a wellness perspective.
So your home toilet is going to be a laboratory.
Oh my God, that would be perfect. I mean,
Yes.
if I can get my gut microbiome every time.
Right. So Valeo is
And
not
then
going
it
to
will
go out
give
of
me,
service.
yeah, and then we'll be part of
Yes.
that technology. And then it will give me my meal plan based on my,
Of course.
oh wow.
So personalized technology
Yeah,
to
personalized.
help you at home to becoming more proactive about your health.
Which is part of precision medicine in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to create more convenience. Today, consumers want convenience. So if you want to build a product or a service, create it to build convenience.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is a trend of companies creating various products and services for consumers to use them from home. Sensors for sleep, air quality sensors to ensure that
Yes.
you live in a clean environment, right? As
Yes.
sort of this external longevity factor.
Yes.
Builders are becoming smarter at creating wellness spaces, longevity cities, and so on and so forth. So I think to summarize, it's AI and the advanced technologies that we have today
Yeah.
will sort of create these important
Yeah.
consumer products that will bring healthcare services to home, not limited to laboratory, but also
All type of
well,
services.
various types of clinical and healthcare related services.
Now it's the 3-year anniversary, right, of Valeo.
Yes.
And now when you're talking, and it's crazy because when we launched Valeo, Sandeep and I, 3 years ago, and of course you pitch to investors, and you have this vision that like you're gonna bring at-home care, at-home wellness.
Right.
Of course, the investors that are visionary, similar to you, they could see what we wanted to launch. But you also had the, why would anybody want to order, book a nurse to come to their house? Why would you want to check your blood test if you're not sick? Why would people want to, speak to a nutritionist or to a doctor if they're not, they're not diabetic or have cholesterol? At that time, 3 years ago, where longevity was still not very popular. And now, I mean, if we our customers can't get enough, they're like, why aren't you launching this test? Why aren't you coming
Right.
here? It's crazy how much changed in 3 years. So in 5 to 10 years, yes, as you said, I mean, it's going to be built into our lives.
Yes,
Right?
another technology that I'm very excited about because I'm a very big proponent of addressing environmental toxins, endocrine disrupting chemicals like plastics and nanoplastics and so on that
Yes.
really disrupt the way our hormones function.
Question on this, because I've been reading a lot about it, and is it like do you need to have a long-term exposure to these, or even short-term exposures, or actually we've been having long-term exposures without feeling it?
So there are over 80,000 chemicals in our environment. It's quite scary, from PFAS to
Like
you name it.
human-made chemicals that we created to create products.
A product of the Industrial Revolution, a product of building and bringing
Yeah.
various products, services to market. So we inhale, we absorb through our skin, we eat these various chemicals. They get absorbed in our bodies. They sit inside our cells. They cause DNA damage.
Oh, wow.
They cause hormone-related changes. And they increase risk for cancer, hormone problems like diabetes, infertility, and so on. Today, we have the ability to measure some of them in hair, stool, or
We
blood
have
samples.
I mean, in Valeo, and I would imagine in Lifespan, we have a couple
Yeah.
of tests.
Yes.
Heavy metal testing. OAT is
Yes.
another very popular one.
Yeah, so there
Yeah.
are a number of tests today, but they only measure, say, in aggregate, about 100 to 150 analytes.
Yeah,
out
you're
of the
saying there's
80,000.
80,000. Oh
Exactly.
my God.
So, one of the chemicals in our environment is asbestos. Finally, after decades of asbestos being in our environment, as you
Yeah.
know, causing lung cancers, mesothelioma, and so on. it
There's
banned.
huge court cases about it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it got banned. So I think over the next decades, we're going to see many court cases surrounding these toxins. We also find them in cosmetic products, hair shampoos, toothpaste. So we can't really get rid of them. But there are great companies out there today that are building solutions to lower exposure to these environmental toxins, including smart water solution with carbon filter, reverse osmosis, mineralization to sort of filter the water from all these plastics. Testing kits. I think that everyone should get their environmental toxins tested, even with the limited testing and knowledge that we have today. But it's important because it is driving the higher rates of cancer and metabolic diseases that we're seeing, particularly in the younger population.
There was an article about data showing that more and more younger people are actually being diagnosed with cancer compared to before. And I guess this is one of the core reasons.
In fact, if I was to sort of categorize this as a risk factor, I would say that environmental toxins are the most important hidden risk factor for longevity, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. A recent study in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that microplastics are present in coronary plaques. And
like in the heart.
In the heart vessels that cause a heart attack. And we're seeing them present in semen and sperm and in other organs, suggesting that they're all over the body.
Yes.
They're staying there for a long period of time.
Yeah.
We know they cause inflammation and other detrimental effects on a cellular level.
Yeah.
And they may be contributing to this pandemic of chronic diseases that we have. So we prioritize toxin analysis in our programs.
Yeah.
Now, there's unfortunately not a lot we could do. We could use chelating agents.
Yeah, I was going to ask you... So I've done the toxic analysis, for example, and I'm high in these toxins. Yes. I've spoken to our coaches, to a couple of people. There's no any kind of specific,
right?
It's not like you can take this or do this and it will be reduced.
Correct.
This is what I understand.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. So we don't have specific antidotes today to many of these chemicals, but what we're seeing is this trend in the wellness industry of using plasma exchange or plasmapheresis, which is a 4-hour plasma filtration system.
Okay, and it's an IV.
It is. Think about it as a dialysis that you can get connected for 4 hours to a device, and it sort of filters 2 liters of plasma and replaces the plasma with IV fluids and albumin.
Okay.
So that may, in theory, get rid of.
And have we tested before and after to see if there is any change?
That's one protocol. It's I don't think many people are doing it. But we're seeing a trend, particularly in the United States, not yet in the region, of using plasmapheresis as a longevity solution. And sequential plasmapheresis throughout the year to sort of get rid of inflammatory markers, toxins, and so on.
If we want to give something that is more, easier guide, so let's say for me, I'm very aware of these risks.
Yes.
But do I make my everyday decisions? Is it built in? For example, my movement, my nutrition, my supplements, it's built into my everyday.
Yes.
But the non-toxic, I'd say living is not built in.
Yes.
What would you say for anybody, okay, right now reducing it is difficult, but increasing it more in your body is something maybe we can avoid? What are the 3 things we can do to at least, control the increase of toxins?
Yes. So the first and simplest thing you could do is to not use plastic bottled water.
Yes.
Right?
That is done.
So
we have, I've changed everybody's, no plastic bottles.
And if you can't get rid of the small or the larger plastic bottles or containers, use a filtration system.
Yes.
Look into this company called Wisewell. They've got a smart water solution.
Wisewell, yes. I've heard about it. Yes,
with carbon filters, reverse osmosis, and mineralization.
Yeah.
So smart water solutions. Right? That's 1. 2, eat healthy.
Yeah.
Right? So be careful.
So non-processed,
Absolutely.
Nothing in, I would say, packaged for a very long time.
Yes. Ultra-processed foods, packaged food, and there's a whole list of how you could avoid toxins through food. 3, get checked, right? Get in the habit of checking your toxins on a yearly or every 6 months basis to understand the chemistry in your body.
Yes.
And also understand your hormones, which are heavily
You mentioned makeup, for example.
Yes.
So organic makeup or non-toxic makeup?
It's a very hard question.
Yeah.
But I think any chemical exposure
does
to
affect
the skin will definitely impact your your exposure to these toxins.
So be
Hookah
very aware
smoking.
what you put.
Yeah,
Yes.
smoking, vaping.
Yes.
There's a study, a recent study
Yes.
that showed that if you vape on a floor of a building, they could track through air circulation the various chemicals in the vape across different floors and homes in the building.
So imagine what it does to
Right.
your inside your body.
Of course, vape is
My God.
poison to the lung and to the circulatory system. It introduces many of these environmental chemicals in our various body parts, and so these small behavioral changes can impact your longevity, because longevity is a very plastic trait. You're not born to live a long time. Twin studies have shown that your longevity is only 20% genetics, which means it's 80% lifestyle and behavioral changes.
Which is, I always think this is such a good news. It means it's in our hands.
Of course. Of course. It's in your hand to improve your VO2, muscle strength, to screen for diseases, to check your hormones, as an example, to get rid of toxins, and to choose good friends and to have a sense of purpose in life. And I think if you combine these important factors together, if you live a good, healthy life, and if it, gives you a lifespan of 100 plus, which is called being
Inshallah, we say in
centenarian,
Arabic.
why not? Do it.
My last question, which is something I think, with AI becoming extremely, be it from, AI companies coming, the technology, every day you have a new update, more things are being, from creating an image to writing essays to writing medical research even. What, in your opinion, somebody who invests in technology and has a medical background, how involved will AI be in the medical world? Will it ever replace it? I think that's a strong word, but become embedded to the medical world? I was very curious to know your opinion on this.
We've had AI for a couple of years now, but there's AI is here to stay.
Yes.
And it's only going to get better.
Yes.
So where will the future take us? Well, AI is going to become so good at predicting mortality, disease through predictive algorithms.
Yes.
And so it will take your data through cross-sectional and continuous analysis to quantify your risk.
So trend analysis too.
Absolutely. And it will give you data, representative data, where you as a consumer can make best use of this data to live a proactive life, disease-free, hopefully. We're also going to see avatars be in our pockets, a digital representation of ourselves, of our physiology, that will continuously monitor us, whether at home or through our wearables or phone, and help us with decision making. So give us that decision support to live a healthier life.
So okay, just to, for the people that are not in tech, to put it in simple words, avatar is more like your twin.
Yes.
Basically, right? But it could be your twin that also knows the medical world.
Yes.
Right? So it knows you and it knows the medical world. So it'll say, Nadine, based on the last readings I got on your sleep, the last 5 days, I think you should take some magnesium. Is it like that?
It will know your history much better. It can go to medical appointments on your behalf.
Oh, wow.
In the digital world.
Can it do a blood test?
Maybe you guys can create it.
Yeah, maybe.
But
we want to create this patch where you don't need to,
yes,
put a needle, basically.
Yes, that's a great idea. It's going to be your health companion. It's going to guide you. It's going to be there with you. And you're going to talk to it and you're going to get advice from it.
Very interesting.
So that's already here. It's getting better. Also, from an AI perspective, from a B2B AI perspective, we're seeing, a lot of these algorithms helping medical clinics, hospitals, and their operators with efficiency.
The paperwork required. And
absolutely. AI in radiology, AI
yes.
in diagnostics, AI or ambient AI in sort of listening to conversations during medical history taking, summarizing conversations. So physicians can spend more time looking and engaging with their patients.
Yeah.
So we're seeing adoption of these very interesting, efficient technologies that are helping us today.
Okay.
There are concerns with AI, including privacy concerns. Obviously, most of these algorithms are trained on non-representative populations,
Yes.
so there's bias.
For me, it's as long as we create the data here, and it's analyzed based on the biases of here, I would say the population of here, then okay. I mean, it's much easier now than I would say 10 years ago to create a data set from, let's say, GCC population or Middle Eastern population.
Yeah.
We've always followed North American, right?
Yes, we definitely need representative data sets and algorithms trained on these representative data sets, to get closer to the truth.
Yes.
The other interesting product that's coming to market maybe in a couple of years is artificial general intelligence. So could AI be as smart as the human brain, right? And if it does reach to those capabilities in the near future, where will we be?
We need to upgrade
with our potential. And I think it's very difficult to upgrade perhaps from a work perspective, but certainly the AI will not have a VO2 max or a muscle strength analysis that you can continue to improve, right? To ensure that you're healthy.
Yeah.
I think that's one advantage that we have is the ability to sort of determine our own fate.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, because remember, longevity is 20% genetics, 80% acquired through behavior and lifestyle.
Yeah.
So will AI kill us? I don't know, but you could take care of yourself.
Oh, that's a good way to end the podcast. Will AI kill us? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but at least we can be prepared.
Yeah, but as you said, it's exciting times.
Yeah.
It's an inflection point in many areas of healthcare, longevity, and technology. And then we have to, I guess, be ethical, conscious of everything happening, be it from the let's say the inventors or the startup companies, that things that are created match well with the humankind. I mean, I don't know. It's a very complicated subject. I think putting it into words, but as you said, it's here to stay.
We're blessed with a body, a brain, a community, this beautiful world. Let's take care of it. Let's take care of our body, our community, our world.
Exactly.
Through a lot of the stuff we discussed today.
Yeah.
Focus on ourselves and then our various units around us, including family and their health, right?
Yes.
So we want to ensure
that...
I
mean, AI can't do that. Be it, as you said, community, friends, family, purpose.
Yes, for now it can't. So we could double down on ensuring that we partake in these very important longevity measures. Yeah. As you said, community, sense of purpose, VO2 max, muscle strength, eating healthy, avoiding toxins, sleep, and so on. Yeah. And I think that's a responsibility that we have. We're born to die. The body's incredible at hiding disease. We all have problems in our genetics. We're going to get something in our lifespan. Don't die from something stupid, including cancer. Get screening.
Yes, definitely.
Do your routine blood work. Focus on yourself and on your health and on your fitness. Yeah. And
be proactive.
And then don't dream of living to 2,000 years if you're going to live in misery and disability. Dream of living a healthy life without disability. Completely agree. I think it's a perfect way to close today's episode. Dr. Fady, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. My pleasure, Nadine. Thanks for having me.